Hey all, and welcome back. In this short session, we're going to continue exploration of Anaconda, scientific environment that we are going to be using for the rest of our studies. And specifically now, we're going to have a chat about Orange. So one of the tools that you see on the screen right now is actually dedicated to data mining as a data mining framework. So Orange, as an introduction, is a component-based data mining framework. So let's just launch Orange. The purpose of this session is to get you comfortable to move around this environment and start to use it for the purposes of mostly visualization. We do like this environment during the course because it gives us the opportunity to look at the workflow from a data management perspective, but also it allows us to visualize the workflow per se, connect these dots, and also it allows us to visualize the actual data, which actually matters. So as you can see on the front end, the moment you open the application, you're going to end up with this choice. Let's choose just the new, as I have already preloaded some of these CSV files. In actual fact, I'm using the CSV file that we are going to be using across the course as our IoT data analytics exercises. So what I've just now have done is I've selected the CSV file import. But before diving deeper into the application, let's just have a closer look. As you can see, it's pretty much empty. So the right hand side of the canvas is empty. This is our playground. This is our sandbox. On the left hand side, you see a couple of choices. The data, visualize, model, evaluate, unsupervised. So let's go back. Data. This tab is allowing us to select different functionality, and I'll come back to it shortly. The another tab, which is visualization, is going to allow us to use functions that we can use to visualize data components. Model is something more advanced. So Orange actually does offer a data scientific machine learning or deep learning mechanisms and tools to explore the data further. And in addition to that, you're able to do some evaluation and run some unstructured data sets at the same time. For the purposes of this course, we're going to be focusing on just the data and the visualization. And let me explain very briefly the main functions of Orange. So I've dragged the CSV file import into the screen. Doesn't tell me much. So what I'm interested to see is the composition of the data. So let's drag in, say, data table. If I connect these two together, the application will actually load the data into a table, which is very nice and visible. And as you can see on the screen, it's a very structured format because the data that we're actually dealing with is in a structured format, which means rows and columns. I can very nicely visualize the aspects of the data. I can very nicely clearly see what's actually happening inside the data points. So that's one aspect of Orange that actually allows us and helps us to visualize the data points. Mind you, this is not small. This is about 500,000 rows of Excel-driven data points and about 31 rows of features or columns. So fairly chunky data points. In order to explore this further, we will not dive into the functions per se at this stage. You will have ample opportunity to play around this environment during the course. But just one small item, say visualization. If you want to explore the data further, we can select, for instance, distribution. So we can have a look at the components of the data sets. So if I create a link into the distribution, and as you can see, what I'm showing you on the screen is the ability of this application to kind of visualize the points and start to create maybe a workflow for the data handling and data assessment. So in this case, I've just loaded data, station number 1. And in this case, I'm just having a look at the data, could be potentially station number 2 in terms of the features. So if I click on the distribution, this is a very nice and clean interpretation of the data points from a visual perspective. Again, without going too much into the details of the analytics, it just allows you to see the capabilities of Orange as a platform that we are likely going to be using for a couple of weeks down the road. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to showcase at the moment in terms of Orange as a platform. Very easy to use, very straightforward to use. You can actually save these structure for the next time you're going to reuse it as a workflow. It's very flexible, very easily executable. One word of caution. The moment you load these big data sets into Orange, I would kind of recommend you to be a bit more cautious in terms of the usage. So you can sub-select the data into different ranks. For instance, you'll be able to choose different data points from this selection, and then you'll be able to utilize much faster computing capability of your personal PCs. All right. One more note, if I reopen this Orange again, you're gonna end up with this front face of the choices, as you've seen here, new, open, or recent, but also some of these selections here underneath. And if you click on one of these examples, this is a very handy way to learn about Orange. There is a number of examples here that we can have a look at, and we can basically put it out there, and it shows us the entire framework of the data that's being analyzed. So very handy, and I encourage you to actually have a look, browse through these examples, very clearly defined and clearly executed, and it gives you a bit more sense about the capabilities of Orange. For our specific purposes, we will default to use this Orange 3 platform at the very early stages of our discussions, especially as we're going to be looking at our examples and exercises using Internet of Things data collection. All right, hopefully you're going to enjoy this platform. It's great fun, highly engaging and visual, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Enjoy!